Go, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome live and direct. Well, I don't know how direct it is, but again, I'm live from a great city, Pete, still in hell. I mean, Ann Arbor, and that is the way it is. Welcome to the Roy and Pete Show, and we are continuing our great discussion. I apologize for those of you that had to hear Pete. He didn't know what to do and how to behave himself, so he just went and did what he's doing. So it is what it is. But I am excited about this thing. The more I prep and the more I get ready to share this, I am really excited. And hopefully Pete gonna learn something today, and we'll be able to get him moving forward in his life, because we don't want him to be stuck no more. No more. That's right. No more. Like I went to school at U of M. No more. So
no, we know where you went. That's why you said no
more. And there's our producer popping in.
No.
Hello.
Mo.
How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Great. I'm gonna do better
last week.
As soon as we can get Pete to get going in his life and not be stuck no more. That's gonna be our theme for today. No more. No more, Pete. No more.
No more.
No more when
I
you
will
wait
be
the
unstuck.
last minute to get your earplugs right. No more.
Wow. You see, y'all forget where I'm from. I'm from the east side. I got caps in reserve that I'm just trying to keep on the down. I'm trying to keep that side of me. I'm just trying to keep it crucified and not bring it out. I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing.
Praise the Lord for the ministry of crucified. So listen, young fellas. So as I was setting up today, I was like, hey, let's talk about this for a moment. So we're still talking about the goal setting, and
Yes.
so Pete, give me your thoughts on this.
Goal setting. What is that? What is that? What is that on the screen?
Wow, that is a statement that I would like you to respond to. How about that?
Sorry, I got to get back up.
Can you handle that?
Hallelujah.
Oh God, he failed.
For visual aids.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you try and force him not to be going backwards no more. Right? We're trying to get him to go forward, and he can't even stand up. It's like the power hit it.
Like, hallelujah, Jesus.
So now that the power hit it, so goal setting is about
that full screen.
Oh my God.
The dream. And building the dream of your life. So do you agree with that? Disagree? Like, want to add something to that, Pete? What's your thought? Goal setting is about gaining control and building the life of your dreams. Like really, is it really that powerful? Is it, what is it? Like, for real?
Yeah. So we don't get you to work on that full screen button there as well. But yes. So put it back up there so I can read it. Put it back up there so I can read it. About gaining control.
I don't know that I don't like, because I know how to use the full screen button. See, look at that.
There we go. So give the people something to look at. There we go. All right, good. Goal setting is about gaining control and building the life of your dreams. So let's break that out. Break that down. So if you say gaining control, does that inherently mean that without goals, your life is not in control, that it's just random, that it just whatever happens to you happens? Is that what that implies?
So I think that the implication is that yes. Okay, that if you don't have goals in whatever the area is, that you're kind of just drifting in that area. So you've not actually decided that I'm going to on purpose get from where I am to where I want to be. And so typically when that is the case, most people just drift. I was thinking about one gentleman that I was listening to. He said that his mentor, within a few days of getting his mentor, that his mentor said to him, hey, I've got some experience, I'm a little older gentleman. Let me look at your goals and let's see if I can help you with your goals. And he said that he told his mentor, I don't have any goals. And his mentor says, that means I can probably guess your bank account within about $100. And he said that the mentor did exactly that. So it got him off of his butt, because what he realized was that he was aimlessly drifting without some direction with his goals. So yeah, I do think that is the implication there.
Absolutely right. Let's throw it back up and let me look at the other part of that, because I would tend to agree with that as well. Without goals, you don't have flow. You are drifting. You are wandering. Now, here's the thing. That does not necessarily have a bad life. That doesn't mean that you will. If I think about a boat that's drifting through the ocean, doesn't mean that you won't hit certain places and run into certain things. You may run into, you may land in a few You may land in marriage, right? You may land at a decent job. You can land at different places. However, if you don't have goals, you may go adrift again, right? So I do think that that's important that we think about goals in terms of gaining control. I can agree with that. And
Well,
then
not
here's the thing.
only do people, not only do you, may you quote unquote go drift again, but I think that people that have goals get there faster, right? Because when clarity is known, then acceleration happens, right? When I know exactly where I'm going, when I know point A, point B, you know, like we talked about, you know, it keeps me from giving my time and attention and energy to things that I don't need to give them to, because I've got a direction. I'm going somewhere. You know, Creflo used to talk back in the day with some of his older teachings, but he say, look, I'm working on something. I am building something, and because of what I'm building, I'm focused on that, and my eye is like a flint, and setting on that and going you know, forward. Then
Absolutely.
So then the second part of that was, so one, that for me, goals help you gain control. I think that goals can also help you widen your life. They can help you gain experiences. You know, when we talk about the world, you know, and that stuff, really, none of us enjoy all the world. What our world is, Roy's world, Pete's world, Carol's world, what anybody's world is, it is the experiences that they decide to partake of, that they decide to be a part of and bring into their life. And so, you know, goals also help to widen my life. It helps to broaden my perspective. It helps to get me to see and be exposed to some stuff. And if we get down to it, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But, you know, I think that goals, as we say, can be very, very effective and a big part of what we're doing. And then I said that it helps to build the life of your dreams, that goals can help you build the life of your dreams. So now my thought on that is this, that many people spend more time planning a vacation. They spend time planning a wedding, and, you know, maybe a sweet 16 party. Like, what kinds of things can you think of that people spend a lot of time planning?
Everything but building the life of their dreams. I think parents spend more time. In many cases, I've seen parents spend more time on sweet 16 parties for their kids, right? Then planning for their children's college education, right?
Yeah.
They will spend more time for what's that thing that happens right after graduation in everybody's backyard? What's that thing
called? It is called an open house.
Open house, right. They'll spend more time planning for the open house than they will have in the previous few years planning for for how your child is going to get their college degree, where their child is going to go to school, etc. Now, what I mean by that is that they will put time and effort. They will pick colors. They will think about it. They will collaborate with their kids on that, and all of that, and pull that open house off, right? They want that open house to go amazing because it's a point of celebration. But when it comes to planning, early age, planning, okay, my child is going to go to 1, 2, or 3 different schools. This is how we're going to pay for that. That, I don't hear parents talk about that. I don't hear parents, express how that's going to happen, and even expressing the importance of it, right? Because one of the things that, I guess if you would, in my mind, if you were to equalize or equate the two, hey, when you come to this open house, right, I'm not having you to give to them, right? I want you to get it as college fund, because next year they're going to be in college, right? So, because we've taken care of them all of these years, right? We've taken care of all of these years, and now it's time for them to go to college. So when you come over, we will take gifts, but what we prefer is cash for college, right?
Cash for college. That's a good thing. Look, and you're right. And the thing is that part of the goal setting, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about it today, if not next week, but part of it is taking care of you, right? And there are all these parents who, as you just said, have been taking care of these kids for all this time. We celebrate Ryan's 16th birthday this past week, and I was shouting. I made a video for her and sent it to her, and the video was singing about how now at 16 she's able to drive for me. Like, that is right, because that has been the plan. That has been
probably painful to hear all of that singing, but it was
it should be all that. That has been the plan all that time. But people, you're right, don't do that. And so planning to take care of yourself is also helping to take care of your kid, but many people don't understand and agree with that. So let me see if I can knock you, well, I don't want to knock you off your feet yet, because I got some more stuff for you, but I want to do. Actually, I do. Yes, I want to knock you down a little bit more, because I just like knocking you down.
Sir. close because eventually at 6'5", if I get knocked down about 2'5", then it will be equal height. I understand what you're saying.
Wow. Wow. You need
Yes.
Jesus. All right. So this one is that life success is 20% information, 80% behavior. 20% information,
Okay.
80% behavior. Because I think that a lot of times people have information, but what happens is that people are inactive. They don't go out and do anything. And whether that is writing a goal, whether that is thinking about the goal, whether that is action stepping the goal, sharing the goal, there are all these pieces and components that I don't think people get involved in. And so they have information. I think people know that goal setting is out there and that they need to do it. But the key is, will they get up and go and do the work necessary to get goals going on? What's your thought is?
That's going to take me a minute to break that down. All right, if you're looking at, I'll break that down in a second. But let me cover this just as a kind of a summary. When we're talking about goals, right? There's gaining control so that you can build the life of your dream, versus drifting and wandering and then allowing your life to just happen. Right? There's a specific difference between the two. So make sure you all capture those if you happen to be watching.
Hey, can I be a cliche there? There may be a cliche there. Right. So there's a saying, right, that failing to plan is planning to fail.
To fail. That's right.
So what you said was, another way to look at what you just had on the board, the versus is I can plan to succeed versus not plan, which leads to failure. Right.
Planning to fail. Exactly.
Yep.
Right. All right, so now let's break down.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance in life and in everything else. So the opposite, of course, is true. Poor preparation causes poor performance.
Absolutely. All right. So let me give this. So go back to your slide where you're talking about that. I got a couple things on that.
You just like trying to write on the board, don't you?
Yes, because it gives you time to switch screens.
Is that what you think I need?
He feels empowered.
He does. All right, there you go.
All right. So read that off again.
Life success is 20% information, 80% behavior.
Okay.
Or I can add a word. In life, success is 20% information or 80% behavior.
All right. So then what I do is I break down the words that you're saying, right? And I break it down to figure out what is information. So for me, when an accumulation of information is just facts, right? When you accumulate information, all you do is you have facts about a particular subject. That's all it is. So let's say, for example, that I understand the difference between letters and numbers, right? And when you put numbers together, you can add things, you can multiply things. And in totality, there's something called multiplication, addition, subtraction, all that. Okay, you have gone with some basic pieces of information, right? And you've created some facts around that. Those are facts, right? But you want to move beyond facts to wisdom, which is the proper application of those facts. That's when you get to actual wisdom, is the proper application of facts. All right, so go back to your slide again. We're coming back to that.
I just want to add in. So, when I do that, what I do is I add in data in between there, right? So that when I get those numbers, as you say, and put them together, then it starts to give me a picture. It starts to give me some information that I can now start to use, which is data. And then from that data, I apply the information or the wisdom, if you will, or the insights gained from that to make that wisdom. But now
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you wanted to see the screen again?
The slide again. That's right.
All right.
So we're taking some basic information. We're taking information, and that either you're going to consider that facts or data. I like saying that it's facts. You like saying it's data, right? So you take information, just regular everyday information, that becomes facts or information. But to do something with that, you need wisdom. All right. So for instance, facts or data. Today I saw on the weather report, right? I saw on the weather report that it was supposed to be sunny and 85. Okay, sunny and 85 right around there. So when I woke, so that was basic facts and data. That's what that was, right? But when I went out for my walk First of all, I started this morning, didn't drink any water. Went out on my walk today, was feeling like horrible, like, dang, energy all low, couldn't figure out what was going on, why, what, blah, blah, blah. When I got home, I was completely drenched and realized I had walked for 2 hours in 80+ degree weather and didn't have any water, right? So I had facts or data, but I did not use any wisdom to take me some water with me as I was going out for my walk. So this is not the proper application of wisdom. It's the proper application of data, right? Of knowledge. That's right. So those things. So we want to get to the place of wisdom, right? We want to get to the place of the proper application of data or facts or knowledge, right? Data, facts / knowledge. That's where you want to get to. EDGE. All right, so now so that's what I use as a foundational thing. All right, that's what I think is a foundational thing, is that wisdom is the proper application of data, facts, and knowledge. Now, let's look at that statement in light of that, and I can answer it correctly. All right, do I agree with that statement? Hello, are you still there?
Of course,
says,
I'm there.
Oh, it says
and your answer is yes.
All right, so let's see. Life success is 20% information, 80% behavior. So here is if I get all of this information, right, all of this data, right, if I get 80% of this, then what I have to do is I have to do something with it. I have to do something with it, and not doing something with it is another way to say behavior, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I could, let's take a real simplistic example. This morning, I could take the fact that the weather was hot. I could have also gotten some more information. I could have went on Weather Tracker to see what was the weather going to be like in the location that I was in, right? And then I could have also found out, okay, is there any kind of storms coming through my way today? I could have looked at that. I could have thought about the fact, this is just more information, facts. I could have looked at the fact, okay, didn't drink any water last night. I didn't drink any water this morning. I could have looked, because this is true, looked at when I went to the restroom, okay, that's kind of dark, right? It's kind of dark, you know what I mean? So that probably is not clear like it normally is. That means I need to get some more. I could have took all of that information, but unless I acted on it, right, unless I used behavior, which I did not do, and go get me some water, then all of this facts, all of this information ends up becoming is a waste. It's just, it's not useful. It's not helpful, right?
It's not useful, right? It is not beneficial.
I sure didn't use it, right? So back to your point. So this is, by the way, you all, if you're listening, this is how you judge. This is one of the ways what I do to judge people's information, things that they share, right? I have a foundational way that I have believed, that I have thought through and figured out things, right? I believe you take information forms facts, data, knowledge, and all that, but to make it to be wisdom is when you apply it. So that's why I just took Roy's thoughts through my filter and realized, yes, that I agree with that statement. It's important that you actually take action with it. So now what we've already talked about, you have said that they've heard about goals, they've heard about setting goals and setting objectives, but unless they start to do it in some area of their life, then all they're doing is collecting facts, data, and information. All they're doing is gaining knowledge, right? Gaining knowledge.
And never coming to the knowledge of the truth.
That's right. So they've not shifted. And so let's look at it, not coming into the knowledge of the truth. The real knowledge of the truth is knowing that it works, right? So that means I got to take some action on it. My behavior is key. I've got to take some action on it.
There is an experiential part there, because I think a lot of people live in theory, right? And in theory, it works. But the key is it working for you? Can you apply this so that it works? You know, like now with a lot of stuff, you know, I think you're crazy. I mean, you just are. But I cannot argue with the fact that you were Big Bubba. You were Peter the Great, and great meant something different. Okay, you were of great proportion, great size, great mass, right? But you applied information and gained wisdom, and as you took information, and as you started working it and start participating and doing it, then you also got further insight into the information that you were given that helped to accelerate you towards the goal that you were trying to go to.
Come on. That's good stuff. Absolutely. That's right. Anything else great you want to say about me? I'll wait and listen.
Yes, I do want to say this is great about you. I think that you really, honestly, all jokes aside, that you have done some of the stuff that I think is important. When we're trying to when I want to get people to understand. I realize we're taking it long because we could just do this in an hour, I'm sure. But I want to make sure
Right.
understand this. That the one, what we're saying is design your future. When you went to The Biggest Loser, how much did you weigh?
416 pounds.
416. Did you have a goal that you wanted to get down to? Wasn't it like over 200 or something, or right at 200?
So this is what we talked about this before, right? And this is what we're doing in this role right here. I had no idea what I could get to. So what I did was I accepted someone else's positive belief in me, right? Until I could get my believer to believe in me. So, and Jillian, for me, was that positive believer, right? For some of you all that are listening out here, in the midst of this, we should be something positive in it, right? And so for Jillian, because she was an expert at this, she knew that were larger down to smaller. Jillian, meaning Jillian Michaels, who was my trainer on the show, right? She knew how to get the weight off people. Also, she grew up in LA and she trained in LA. She knew how people's bodies worked and all that. And this is what she said. I'm 416. Now, she said two things, which are mighty funny, right? We're almost dying. One of my favorite places on the planet now is called Runyon Canyon out in LA. I love going on hikes in Runyon Canyon, right? But when we were there, it was one of my first near-death experiences on the show. Like, I'm dying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And I'm leaning up this tree, and then she's like, get off that tree, walk. I'm like, I can't breathe, I can't talk, can I just lay down here and die? And she said, no, you gotta go. Now, as we're going through this, she said two things. One, she said, oh my God, I'm going to make millions off of you guys losing weight, right? And here's the thing, I wasn't mad at her. I'm trying to lose weight. If you can make millions off me losing weight, I'm game for it, right? That's number one. Number two, she said, Pete, you are going to get down to 215 pounds. I'm thinking to myself, cuss words just going all through my mind. What? I'm cussing her out in my mind. What? I came out of the world at 155. Are you kidding me? So, but here's the thing. Because I knew that she had expertise, right? She just wasn't a stranger in the suit. She had expertise. She knew what she was talking about. And not only that, I know she knew what she was talking about from experience, but because she would impart that wisdom. She would teach us when we were around the dinner table. And I'm taking notes. I'm paying attention to all the things that she's saying, right? This is what I think. I believed in her belief in me until I could develop my own belief in myself. So this is a part of what we're saying to everybody that's watching, right? Roy and I have accomplished certain things.
Your mic just went out, Pete. Roy and I have accomplished certain things. Say that again.
Yeah, we've accomplished certain things in our life, and we're speaking from that position, right? Well, of setting goals. Roy, when he talks about how he lives a debt-free lifestyle, right? Lives a house with $200,000 in mortgage still on it. Is that right?
Not a dime.
Not a dime, right? Not a dime. When he lives in a house that's debt-free, right? And he put together a plan to become debt-free and pay off all of his debts. We're coming with you from the position of we've set certain goals in life, accomplish those goals. We can tell you exactly our own experience and then also tell you our failures. So here it is, Jillian, she sets this goal. She says, you're going to come in at 215. I had no belief in that. I didn't know what 215 looked like. All I could do was follow the process I'm setting. So I couldn't focus on the number 215. I had to focus on, she said, do this many workouts, do that many workouts, do this much cardio, this much resistance.
So you had to follow the process.
Follow the process. And I'm learning what the process is supposed to result in, what it's supposed to accomplish, right? Now, she said this in the very first week I'm on the show. I go back for the live finale of the show, right? She said 215, and actually she said it, that would have been March. Let's say that was March 15, okay?
What
15,
year?
whatever that is. But this is 2005.
Okay.
So March 15, 2005. I go back to the show, right? November 30th of that same year, right? She said 215. She confessed that over me, spoke that into me. I couldn't believe that, right? Guess what I came in at?
I know, so I can't guess. Tell us.
216. Now look at that. I'm right there. You know what I mean? I'm like, how? When a joker over here, it starts off at 416. How do you come up with 215 for 416? I don't know, but I just know in here was a whole bunch of sweat, fat. I smelled like smoking bacon every day because I was working all of that fat off all the way in between. But the power of somebody speaking a goal over your life, you follow through the process and then seeing that goal.
But not only does she speak the goal over your life, like you know, the first part of this story, when you start telling this, one of the things that stuck out to me is when you were on the tree, ready to cave in, quit, punk out, and throw in the towel. She told you, no, you can't quit. You can't cave in. You can't punk out. You can't throw in the towel. Get your butt up and get moving. Because what happens is that many people allow their minds, their thoughts, their bodies, whatever it is, to talk them out of reaching a goal, talk them out of doing the work. And it is the work that is going to make this thing happen. And so people have got to learn to be doers. And like you said, just follow the coaching plan, follow the process, and it will get you from point A to point B.
I had somebody on Friday, right now, they bought a new bike and asked me to, I knew they got a new bike. And so I'm trying to encourage them in the effort, right? I'm trying to encourage them to get going on the bike and get active. And so what I did was just me being a blessing. I went down and met them, and we went down to the riverfront on Friday, and we rode our bike along the riverfront. And there was this little hill going up Rivard by the riverfront here in Detroit, little hill. And I told her, I was like, I'm teaching her how to use the gears, right? How to sit properly on the bike, all of that kind of stuff. And I told her, I said, now when we go up this hill, you are going to have to make it all the way up the hill without walking. Because she told me, I'm going to have to walk that hill. No, you're not. You're not walking that hill. No. You with me. You're not going to embarrass me like that. So what we did was we practiced on some little small hill, and we went over to the big hill. By this time, she knew how to shift gear, and she's pedaling. I said, come on, you can do it. This is what she started saying. No, I can't. It's hard. No, I can't. I said, shut up. The fact that you're running your mouth tells me you got more energy. Put it into those tires. Pedal. Or we're going to do this all over again. This is what she said, which is applicable to what you just mentioned, Roy. This is what she had the nerve to say. She said, I can't make it. Having full conversations with me, mind you. I can't make it. I know my body. This is what I said. No, you don't, or you wouldn't allow yourself to be 100 pounds overweight. Now, pedal, doggone it, pedal. Now, what you think she did? So the point of that is just what you mentioned. When I was 416, ready to give up, right? Jill is like, no, you can't give up because I see something in you that you don't see, that you may not even know is there. Sure enough, when I was with old girl, she made it up the hill struggled. She struggled mightily, but she made it up the hill. And that's the thing, that's one of the reasons that we keep coming each and every week, is to encourage anybody that's listening that there's something in you. There's something amazing in you. And you got to pull it out. You got to pull it out. You listen from our examples. You listen from our stories, and then say, okay, what is it about my life that I want to improve? What is it about my life that I'm going to get better? As Roy always at the show, he talks about having a better life. There's some part of your life you need to look at. You need to look at your life, and you need to start actively working on it if you're going to have a better life. That's the key. That's one of the things you're focused on.
So here's my question. You just lead me right on to my next question right here. Can you see your screen, mister? You see your screen?
I'm looking.
All right. So here's the question. Based upon that information, based upon what we've just been talking about and discussing, what kind of person do I have to become to achieve all that I want? And of course, this I is generic. This pronoun is for everybody, right? But so what kind of person does a person have to become to achieve something? And excuse me. And I go back again to this being that statement that the person you are right now is not the person you're going to be when you reach your destiny or destination that you've got set up for yourself. So you talked about a few things. I mean, we can probably unpack a little bit more, but you talked about a few things when you went in at 416, she told you you're going to lose half of you. Okay. That by the time she was done or you were done with her, if you worked with her, that you would be half the person you were in terms of weight. And when you got ready to give up, she did it until you were able, and you started taking notes. You started looking at stuff because you realized, I can't believe for half of me to be gone right now, but I can believe that if I do this, I can get some result. I can start moving.
That's right.
So what happened? What needs to happen to me? Who do I need to become? I think is a question that people need to ask themselves on their way there. So homegirl that you were talking about Friday. Sounds to me like she needs to be someone who believes in herself. right? Or believes that she can do more than what she does. Or
That's
give that up. Just be someone who is no longer going to be a whimper, right? Don't punk out. Don't quit. Be somebody that says, I need to turn into somebody that finishes what I started. I need to turn into somebody that's going to put all of my energy and focus into doing it and not finding excuses. Again, because I think many people find excuses. Go for it.
Absolutely. So one of the things, this is one of the things that I teach whenever I've gone into corporate America and designed programs. I've explained it to HR professionals. I've explained it to, organizers. I say, I can do three things, right? Because you offer the same thing. I say, I can touch your people, right? No, we're not, you won't have to file anything with HR, right? I can touch them, I can train them, or I can transform them, right? Any one of these is possible. And so when I'm touching you, so what we're doing right now is we're just touching folks, right? We're just giving them some information. We're honored that you all are giving us your time, right? But we're just touching you. We're just touching you with knowledge and information. We're trying to nudge you in a way, nudge you so that you can think, okay, a better life is possible. But then from there, you need to take the next step. And that next step is you need to be trained. Okay, so this is what Jillian was doing. Jillian could just encourage me and said certain things, and that would have been nice. That probably would have got a couple pounds off of me. You know what I mean? She, said those things. But for her to actually be involved with me, Roy, you mentioned it before, when you were going through the process of getting out of debt, one of the things that you did, you worked with the organization, you worked with them and went through multiple trainings each week to learn finances, to have a greater understanding. That's this middle piece right here, right? This, I like to say that the real magic happens because what happens over here is your brain begins to change.
Yep.
Possibilities, they exist over here, right? But possibilities begin to sink in over here. And what that results is, again, it's not even about the goal so much. What it really is about is who you become along the way to the goal. And that's exactly what you're talking about. You will want and you should become a different person. You should transform into the person. Really what it is not just a person that has accomplished your dreams, but the person that qualifies for your dreams.
Yeah.
If your dream is wealth, we go back to, who was that? Biggie said, more money, more problems, right? So if you can't handle the problems where you at, you don't need more money. This is also why, Roy, that people who hit the lottery, they're back to being broke within a short period of time.
Yes, typically within 2 years.
That's right. Come on. We, of course, MC Hammer, he had a $33 million contract that went broke. A star after star after star made all of this money, right? And so what happens to people is they get this money, but they've never gone through the process of being trained to know how to handle money so that they could be transformed into a millionaire. Because there's a difference between someone who has $1 million and a millionaire. There's a difference between someone who's rich, right, and someone who's wealthy. And to me, it all depends on to get to here, it all depends on this. And this is why, what are you doing each night at 7 p.m.? Thankfully, you're not bothering me. But what are you doing each night at 7 p.m.?
Well, currently in my private Facebook group, I'm doing a training called Mind Your Money. So I'm spending the entire month of May training people how to quote unquote mind their money. And what I'm going to be doing after that is in June, I'm going to spend a week teaching people how to mind their credit. And then we're going to keep doing this series where we get in and for people that want to be a part, train them how to do all these things. Now, I'm going to do something different than what you did though.
Yep, come on.
You want to know what that is?
What is that? You
were being nice and generous and all that stuff, and you took homegirl and you went to the bike ride with her. How much did you charge her?
Well, I needed to get my workout in.
That wasn't my question. So how much did you charge her?
I didn't charge her nothing. Now, that's not the case. I've done this for years, right? And I've charged good money. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying on that case.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
right.
people
let me rephrase that. While I charged her nothing financially, she paid in sweat. She shall not pay.
Praise the Lord. Yeah, well, I want somebody. I don't want your sweat. I want your money. So I'll be doing that, but we'll be paying the money. Now you said some things that hit me. So the person you become, right? You talked about that transformation, right? Like I literally have I'm a different person around money than I was 20 years ago. I'm a different person around money than I was 10 years ago. I'm a different person now than I was 5 years ago. Why? Because transformation has taken place. And it was interesting. I was laughing about some of my goals and what they were in my 20s and 30s. And I'm a different person now. So since I've become someone different, my life now revolves different. So here's the thought. Who I become helps me to achieve. But then what I achieve also helps me to become. The more I become, the more I can achieve. But then the opposite is true. The more I achieve, the more I can become. The question is, which one affects the other one the most? I don't know.
Come on.
But here's what I know. I have to become someone different, and I've got to achieve something different. And the more I achieve, the more I become, the more I become, the more I achieve.
And all that happens over here.
Yeah.
And one of the things you mentioned was you became a different person as it relates to money, how you see money, how you spend money, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing for me. You know, the difference is that I'm a different person as it relates to food, how I look at food, how I value food, the taste of food, right? If I were to tell somebody, you know, at 416, when I was 416 pounds, that I love the taste of me, some Brussels sprouts cooked, grilled just right. You know what I mean? They'd be like, whatever, old fat phony, you know, Brussels sprouts. You would eat a whole bunch of pork rinds. And that would have been true there. But now there is a difference in how I see food, how I esteem food. I understand now that food is fuel to help get me to a certain goal, right?
But it still tastes good.
It still tastes absolutely right. It still tastes good. Absolutely, that's important. Well, that ain't as taste is not that important to me. That's a different thing. But again, repeat that what you become and all that kind of stuff. Repeat that again.
So what you become helps you to achieve. What you achieve helps you to become. The more you become, the more you can achieve, and the more you achieve, the more you can become. Right. Mm-hmm. One of that, you know, as I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at that board up there. You know, one of the things that is evident, right? Like no matter, like as much as you live in hell and people, you know that you have other issues, the one thing
I live in amazing Ann Arbor.
Yeah, that's hell. So, but one of the things that is amazing is that you did the show. You went back in November of 2005. That's almost a full 15 years ago. And if we look at you today, it is obvious that you're not 400. Okay.
Come on now.
It is obvious that some level of transformation had came, and not only did it come, but it was a level of transformation that allowed you to maintain. And that's what you know, hopefully we can get people to understand that it's not just about obtaining the goal, but it's about getting to the goal and then maintaining and persevering. Well, let's say so getting there, persevering to get there, getting there, and then maintaining so that this is not like, I don't ever want to go back into debt. Right. I don't want to ever have to let Murphy's Law. I don't want to ever let, you know, stress, money, financial stress be another thing. I don't want any of that stuff to be an issue in my life anymore. But largely it's not going to happen because I've been transformed, and I'm not transformed out of fear.
That's right.
Right. I'm not transformed out of a poverty mentality. That's not where I am.
That's right.
Right. I don't have a heart that's broken and needs to be healed. I don't have an orphan spirit, like none of that drama. But I've been through all of that. And on the way, I didn't just aim at it to get to the destination. Right. You know, it's about the journey, as people always talk. That journey turned me into somebody different. Tag, you're it. Go for it.
Let me follow up on that. With that. So,
by the way, before you really get going, can I just say that you got this in my head? Biggie, can't you see? Sometimes your words, they hypnotize me. And I just love Royce.
I just love my sexy ways.
And he's so paid. All right, I'm done.
So, this power here in this transformation, right? And I want us to be clear that now, here's one of the things I did. This is my testimony. I had a debt freedom testimony. So what I did was I studied debt freedom, how to get out of debt, right? How do you get out of debt? What are the things that you want to do, blah, 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 all the strategies you want to take. So in 1999, around October 1999, I had all the money in the bank to pay off my debt and be completely debt free. And so then I was thinking, should I pay off my debts now? Should I pay off my debt now? Or should I wait for Y2K? Because when Y2K is coming, that's when everything's going to be wiped away. You know, hallelujah. All debt's gonna be gone in Y2K, and then Y2K comes, all my debts were still there. So what I did was took the money that I had been saving since October, and January 5th paid everything off, right? So I was out of debt, right? Out of debt. But here's the thing, my goal was to be out of debt. So the problem became when I started getting back into debt because I did not fully transform.
Right.
Now, here's the key, what you said earlier, right? Transform your mind. I didn't deal with the underlying root of how I got into debt in the first place. So one of the things that I had was I had a poverty mentality, all right? Poverty mentality. And one of the things that I recognized is with this poverty mentality, owned properties did very well, structured it incredibly well, the way that they ran this as a business. However, when I started buying houses, the very first program I bought after I bought one or two
Carlton
houses
Sheets.
was, no, that was to learn how to buy houses, right?
Yeah.
But after I got a couple under my belts, the first thing that I learned, I should say it like this, what did I look into when it comes to managing the money for my house? The first thing I looked into is how to pay zero taxes in real estate, right?
Wow.
I was really like, yeah, I got to pay less. Instead of thinking, well, why don't you get yourself to the point where you qualify for more tax deductions, right? You qualify for what the rich and the wealthy qualify for. We all know this, you should know this, that Warren Buffett pays a lower percentage of taxes than his secretary, right? And he's one of the wealthiest men in the world. So, but my mind, my thinking was, I still had this poverty mentality that I never dealt with. So then when I made lots of money, ended up going back into debt, ended up losing that money, and it had to happen more than one time before I recognized, okay, my mind is not transformed, right? I can put habits into place. I can put goals into place to achieve a certain thing, but unless I transform this mind, and really what it is like you talked about, I thought this was really good. Transformation creates multiplication, right? This is how you know you've been transformed. This is what I put your words into, right? Transformation creates multiplication. As you start doing something, it multiplies, right? It multiplies. You can do more of it. You can teach that thing, right? And so this is why when it comes to weight, right, I can multiply myself in others because I know this subject like the back of my hand, right? And so that's when I started dealing with this poverty mentality, started looking at finances completely differently, and it was all in my mind. And now it's like, okay, Lord, you've given me great products. You've given me the ability to do things. Now I qualify to move over here, not just for making millions, but to become a millionaire, not just to become rich and have stuff, but to actually become wealthy. And what you were saying is is perfect. That transformation has to happen in the mind, has to deal with all the different areas that you struggle in.
Now let's say this so we can hit it, because Romans 12, 1, 2, 3, right? That area,
Yes.
Be not conformed, right? So literally,
right.
that's what Paul is teaching, what God is teaching through Paul, right? Don't take on the shape, don't take on the mentality, don't take on the view, if you will, of the world, but be transformed. That's the aim. That's
right.
the end goal. There is the transformation. Be transformed. Well, what's the pathway to transformation? Renewing the mind. And you just said that so eloquently, so we don't need to go back and do that again. But it is that point of why we want you to get trained. Like part of that training is causing new neurons and new connections and new things in the brain, so that I start to see things differently. And revelation seasons in our lives change when we get revelation. Like the season of 416 changed in your life when you got revelation. The season of broke in my life changed when I got revelation, right? So things change when we get revelation, and we can then become transformed into that image. All right.
Absolutely. One of the things that come to mind quickly is some of the keys of transformation right here, right? You will begin to hear, right? You begin to hear the stories of others who have been transformed, right? You'll be
overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony.
The word of their testimony.
You got to hear that testimony.
Right. So you begin to hear things. That's right. And then it's also helpful to have those examples, right? What does that? Follow them through faith and patience who have inherited the promise, right?
Yep.
That's right. You begin to see that, and then you begin to do it, right?
You begin doers and not hearers only.
not hearers only, right? And then the last thing, what that does is this is where the transformation, the transformation happens is when you become, right? You become, right? You become because you not just heard, you not just seen it, you begin to do it, and then you begin to be it. You begin to be it. That's what
You begin to be it. You begin to be it.
Form. Excellent.
Look at that.
Now, Pete,
Good
say
stuff.
that last part again. Transformation comes when
Pete,
what?
who's that talking to you? I can't see nobody. No, I'm messing. Go ahead.
Where's she at? Where's she at?
She done ran and hit to the dark. I don't know where she done went to. Go ahead.
Well, I got fussed at so hard, so I just figured, hey.
Well, don't be whining. Don't be over there whining.
Transformation.
Wait, transformation comes when what?
So, Roy, give us the scriptures as well on that. The first thing is you need to hear, right? You need to hear about others who transform. What's the scripture on that?
So we said, be ye doers. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, we said
we overcome by the
Revelation.
blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
That's right. So you need to hear. And then from there, you need to see others who have been successful. Follow them.
Let me drop two more in there because that one is Revelation. But there are two scriptures in the Gospels that also deal with hearing that I think are extremely important. One, Jesus said, be careful what you hear, right? Because what you hear affects what you believe is possible, right? And so if you hear, so Pete, what you were telling yourself when you were leaning on that tree, what you heard was, I can't do it anymore. What homegirl heard on that bike was, I know my bike, I can't do it anymore. But you were willing to hear something different. And because you heard something different, you got up and it propelled you forward. So one, he says, be careful what you hear. Then he says, be careful how you hear, right? Because even though you heard Jillian say to you, get up and move, how you could have heard was, that ain't for me. Other people might be able to get up and move, but not me. So you've got to, be careful what you hear as well as how you hear.
This is just the way that I am. Right? I know my own body, right? You can hear what you've been saying, that mess you've been saying all along, right? Or one of the things when I talk to people, or even when I've been in a relationship, and like, nah, really, cake and ice cream don't work well with me, right? Or you just have a little bit. That's like you give a crack to a crackhead. Okay, so let me explain. We have these sayings, right? What we hear is often in our own mind. Absolutely right. Come on.
Yep. So then you went to C, and you actually gave us the scripture on that one.
Yep. Which was, we said, follow them through faith and patience who have inherited the promises.
Yes.
Right. So that's that pursuit. And then from there, really, it comes down to do. What did you say?
In the book of James, be ye doers of the word and not hearers only.
Not hearers only, absolutely. And then from there, again, there are things that you're going to hear that are going to be challenging. There are things that you're going to hear that are going to call you to a better place, right? We talked about those, right? Not just what you hear, but how you hear it, right? So you need to hear first. The next thing is you need to see some examples. You need to see people who've accomplished what it is that you are seeking to accomplish or have worked with others to help them accomplish what you want to accomplish. I think we miss this sometimes because we think that everybody can speak to us. And not everybody can speak to us about everything, right? And let me break it down a real simple. If you see a trainer in the gym and he's working with somebody overweight and your goal is to lose weight, just because he's working with that person overweight doesn't mean he help to lose weight. It does not mean that. So I want you to understand that.
You were breaking up. Say that again.
So I want you to understand that you need to find somebody that has helped other people to reach the same goal that you have reached, that you seek to reach, right? Or they have done it themselves. That's really clear when it comes to seeing. You don't want to meet somebody. You don't want to meet somebody. Say, for instance, you make a certain amount of money. It's your desire to put a certain amount of money into their 401k. This advice from the broke friends is out. Just number one, it's out, right? That ain't gonna help you.
Yeah, you dropped out. So let me say that again. He said taking advice from a broke friend when you're trying to do something financially is not good advice. Go for it.
It's not advice. But on the other side, just because somebody has money doesn't mean they're going to be a good advisor to you as well, right? If they've received all their money from an inheritance and they don't know how to work for money, how to put money away, how to save it. Really, what I need to be talking to them is how their dad did it, right? How did your dad do this? Well, my dad worked and my dad saved money. My dad put money away. He bought things at discount. Because if you just got it through inheritance, you may not know. So it's really important who you seek out, right, to use as an example.
Well, it's important because I need somebody who's closer to me, right? I need somebody who's close to my situation, who remembers what it felt like to be this. I remember what it felt like to be, that pressure to do A, B, and C. Like, okay, I feel like I got to do it this way. So somebody that's close to that is a phenomenal person that's able to assist you in getting where you need to be.
That's right. Absolutely. And then, of course, we broke it down to do. When it gets to doing, to actually doing the work, right, you have to do the work. That's where the you be transformed. Is that a little bit clearer, Carol? Sorry about that earlier.
Yes, that is clear. I went around the world, but yes.
Been around the world and nah. You know you playing with, don't play. All right, Pete, let's hit these last 5, and I think we'll be done for the day. So
all right, sounds good.
I think, what we're talking about is this. We said this session is about, gaining control and creating the life of our dreams. So all right, so let's talk about then what I need to do to gain control of my life. Number one, I need to figure out what's important to me. What is important? Because again, I think, we talked about that acceleration towards the known goal is when we have clarity, there's acceleration towards the known goal. But for many people, there is no known goal, right? So we need to, as people, sit down and say, okay, I need to determine for me what's important. I'll go on and talk, because you got your board right and he ready to go.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things, right? So what's important to me? So one of the things you mentioned last week, right? I'm looking for a wife, right? I'm looking for a wife. Now let's be clear about that, right? I messed up the first marriage, right? I messed up the first marriage, went through mind renewal, dealt with me, right? Because my mouth ran down the marriage, right? And I didn't know how to lift my wife up, how to speak life into her life. And all of those things, they're trauma-based in my past that I had not dealt with. So when I was in a marital situation, I didn't even know me. So there was a struggle to know how to work in a marriage. We worked on all that, right? We worked on that, and I'm to the point to where I think, okay, Lord, is this time? I think it's time that I find a wife. Now it's clear. Let's be clear. First thing, I'm looking for a wife. I'm not just looking for a woman, because I done met a lot of women, and not all women are wives. Okay, so I'll just say that. That's just my opinion, right? So when it comes to what's important to me, number one, I just have these acronyms. I say things to make it simple, right? Fit, fine, and a strong mind. So fit for me means somebody that's healthy. You don't have to be a gym rat at all, but you're healthy. You understand health and food. Now that's directly for me, because I have this whole addictive thing going on with food, and I have to manage that, right? So I can't have somebody else that struggles with food and try to partner up with them and live my best life. That's not going to happen. So I need somebody who is fit or has a conscious awareness of health. Fine. You need to look good to me, right? You need to look good to me. And that's just a natural thing, natural attraction thing. And then strong mind. Obviously, I run my mouth a lot. I have beliefs and I have thoughts and all of that. You need to be able to combat me. And I don't mean to be combative, but you need to be able to combat some of my thoughts, right? Some of the ways that I think, and not in an angry fashion, not in a argumentative fashion, but wait, that'll make sense. But what about this? And have you thought about that? I'm like, I haven't, right? Because I am the type that's also going to take what you give me and think about it, right? Now, here's the thing. This is really the big key, because I
want to get on fit, fine, strong mind. Give me a minute before you jump there, right? So one of the things when I'm dating is I always say, I'm going to give you what I need. I'm going to place in you what I need, so that when I need it, I know it's there. Right?
That's good.
So I think a lot of times in relationships, people get in relationships and they want. So what I just heard you say is that the person that you get with, that person is going to have to be able to understand where fitness fits in, because for you, it can be detrimental. Right? So when you get ready to fall off the wagon, there's something in her that says, no, baby, we need to do A, B, or C.
That's right.
You place in her what you are going to need for a later time.
Now I'm in a slightly right? Come against that, right?
Go for it.
Because give you slightly what I need. This is what you said, right?
Yes.
Here's the thing that I've noticed, right? When it comes to dating, people show up in different disguises.
Yeah,
Show
they
up
do.
in themselves. So what I tend to do is I'm not going to tell you everything I need. I'm not going to tell you everything I need because I'm trying to see who you are, right? So I'm going to see when we go out to eat. Okay, what did you order? Okay, you ordered the barbecue fried chicken. Okay, and you ordered some once in there, and you ordered some French fries to go along with it, and you ordered the potatoes au gratin, right? You ordered a typical Roy McLeod meal last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That was a last year meal. That ain't this year meal.
Last
Go
year.
for it. Transformation
You ordered
stuff.
that. That's right. So you ordered that. Okay, so that's telling me who you are, and it's giving me some information, right?
Right.
Because I look at it, there's a difference when we're young and figure things out versus now. You know, I was
Right.
once was young, but now I'm old. You know, so now I need to see who you are, and once I understand who you are, I say, okay, I see that you have a strong mind, that you have this understanding of health. Then I agree. There are things that I give you how to work with me. For instance.
Well, hold on a second.
When
So
I'm down-
you're not really you're adding, you're making a friendly amendment, right? So if I were to,
Yes,
to
exactly.
if I were to hear what you're saying to me, that's not going to be something we do on our first time out, right? So
That's
my
right.
point is when
That's right.
when I see that there is potential for some long-term benefit
Yes.
on both of our ends, then yeah, I need to give
Yes.
you. That's what I'm talking about. All right, go for it.
That's right. Exactly right. So here's how I do that. So when I find that you got the potential, right? You got those things. One of the things I said, now here's how you. First of all, I need to determine that you're an encourager already, right?
Right.
If you got an encouraging heart, encouraging personality, then I'm gonna say, okay, this is how you encourage me, right? And I know me by now, right?
Right.
When I am down and I am discouraged, right? Get me talking. Because what I end up doing inevitably is I end up confessing, as you would say, a better life. I end up confessing my future. And if I don't feel like talking, that's a sign, right? And I told somebody this. I said, here's the key. When I'm down, I don't want to be around nobody. That's not the time for you to say, oh, he just want to be alone. No, you need to come closer, right? You need to come closer because what I need is I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to talk the best out of me. And it's real simple, real simple. I was in a relationship one time. She didn't understand all the other pieces,
And
but she
listen,
understood.
hurry up
this
because
piece.
we're running out of time. We got some more things.
Good.
So what's important?
Good. So she understood this piece here. She said, you know, God is already giving you the answer. You just need to take some time and think about what he's already told you to do. I said, whoa, Jesus, that's it. That's it. So I'm going to put in you those things that help me to be emotionally healthy. I need to count on you to help, right? That means you've already had some transformation in mind. So that's important. You're not dating on that, but you do need to know what's important in every area of your life. If you're married, what's important about your marriage, right? What is important to continue to have a great marriage? Make sure you talk those things out and write them out and list them out.
Excellent. All right. Thing number two, just because this will happen when you get a bunch of people on the show that can talk. Number two, know where your life
Y'all
is.
two talking.
Know where your life is going and why. Know where it's going and why. Know where it's going and why. And that can be both. Know where it's going positively, where you want it to go, and then negatively where it's going that you don't want it to go. So when I was stressed out, broke, and all that other stuff. You know, I told you the story before, but, you know, I went to God begging, pleading, screaming, God, help me, give me some more money. Lord, I need more money, you know, all that drama, right? And the Holy Spirit said to me, do a budget. I'm like, did you hear me? Did you miss my request? I need some more money. He said, do a budget. Well, when I did a budget, what I found out was that for every $4 I had coming in, I only had $1 in expenses. So I had 3 to 1 to get my needs met. So I didn't really need more money. I needed to be able to manage the money that I had, the resources I had better, right? I had to increase my capability. As you said, I need to become somebody that qualified to have money growing and working for me as opposed to somebody that's always out just throwing and scattering my money around. So one of the things, again, that's on the other end. I knew where my life was going and the direction and why it was going. I was able to figure that out. For me, it was horrible. And then I said, okay, well, here's where I want to go. Now I want to go to a place where I'm not stressed about money. And it wasn't debt freedom at first, right? Because I that wouldn't, like you said, I couldn't see that. But what I could see was I want to get my finances stable. I want to be able to know what's going on with my money. And then from there, I can go to the next step. And then from there, I can go to the next step. So I walked my way from not knowing anything and knowing why it was horrible to now being debt free.
Come on now. That's good stuff. I think that's wrapping up. Where are you going and why? Where are you going and why? And most of the time, I think we struggle with the why. You know what I mean? What I mean is why choose a better. So let me ask you that, Roy, since this is one of the things you talk about. Why to live a better life? Well, I'm okay now. You know, I mean, okay now. It's all right. You know, I'm not really struggling. You know, I got these debts and I'm paying these debts and credit cards. You know, I got, $700 car note, if you include insurance. But so what's wrong with now? Why should I try to do that?
Well, so for me, so honestly, Pete, let me hit you, because you've actually hit the next one. I think it's the next one. And then I'm gonna try and weave those two together. All right. So the next number 3 thing I have for gaining control in life is understanding your values and your goals. So for me, the value was Proverbs 13:22, right? A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So in order to qualify there, I needed to have something to leave, right? And so now I got to stop squandering and wasting all of this. Let's go back to scripture again. My why, right? A man that will not take care of his family is worse than an infidel, right? So there I go again. And so let's put some context to that. I told you that some years ago, decades ago now, my mother's brother died, and my mother was away from us. We were in 2 separate states, and we could not afford to get my mother from where she was by herself to here with us so that we could help her, support her while she was grieving the loss of her brother, because we had no money. We could not afford to send somebody on the bus down there to be with her. We definitely couldn't put her on the plane. We had to put her on a bus, and she had to ride for 18 hours to get to us with the burden of that on her head, right? So for me, my why, my value, my goal was my family is not going to have to go through this mess ever again in life. So that also talks about that strong why. So my why was, both spiritually, scripturally speaking, there were some things that I believe that I should have had as a good steward that did not represent God well. And then B, in the natural, there were incidences and things going on in my family that I wanted to be able to do something about.
So spiritually speaking,
yes.
So you're saying that God, whom you serve,
yes,
actually wants more for you and believe that there's more possible for you.
John 10:10 in the Amplified, he said that I've come that you might have and enjoy life. So let's count them. So he wants us to have it. He wants us to enjoy it, and then enjoy it in abundance to the full until it overflows.
Yes.
3 John 2, beloved, Roy, whatever your name is, I desire above all things else that you prosper and be in health as your training, your insight, your revelation prospers, right? If you go to Deuteronomy 8:18, remember the Lord your God, for it is he that gives you the power, the skill, the ability, the insight, the resources, the strength to get wealth, right? Proverbs 35. I mean, just keep going on, right? God delights in the prosperity of his servants. So yeah, I think God wants us to do better.
That's good stuff. One of the things in here is you talk about values and goals. This whole values thing is really a key for me. What I have found, somebody asked me recently about, I'm slightly shift here, asked me recently about finding a mate, right? And, we commonly say, I want to find somebody in the church. I said, I'm not looking for somebody in the church. I found plenty of people in the church who do not have church values, who do not have biblical values, right? I'm looking for somebody who has biblical values. And if I can work with them, on the Lord, then we can have a conversation. But I'm not excluding people who are in church if they express biblical values. That's a key thing. So when you talk about values and goals, one of the things here.
But I like that, Pete, because what you're saying is for you, right?
Yes.
One of the things that you're clear on, your value is, this is what I want. It doesn't matter what other people's
That's
thoughts
right.
and things are. I think a lot of
That's
times
right.
people get messed up because they're trying to base their goals and or their life off of somebody else's values,
Sure.
That's
insights,
right.
thoughts, or
That's
revelation.
right. That's right.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I'm solidly in the Lord, right? I'm never leaving the Lord, right? And it's going to always be a part of my life. So but
Dog, I
also
got to
at
put
the
up with you in
same
heaven.
time, that's a part of your blessing.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
God gonna
here's
separate.
what, here's one of the things that when we talk about this, what I really appreciated, we talked about spiritually speaking, right? God calls you for better. He wants better from you. But the thing that you also paid attention to was there was a pain point that
Yep.
you observed. And you mentioned this before.
Yep.
Your mama, who
My
was it, your mama or your grandmama?
My
your
mama. I love my
the
mama.
woman who birthed you.
Yes.
How long did it? Do you know how long was your labor? How long was her labor
I
that you?
don't
Do
know.
you
I
know?
was a good baby. But here's
What
what I
they
know.
got to do
Now,
with
here's
it?
the thing.
Even if it
For
wasn't
18
labor,
hours.
my mother sacrificed to take care of me. How about that?
That's true. That's true. I'm with you. But she probably spent more time on that bus, getting to where y'all was than in labor with you, right?
I agree.
Now, you can ignore that, or you can be like, that is painful.
Yes.
It's painful for me as a man, as a provider, as somebody that God has called to better, right? And so here's the thing. Not only did you recognize that pain point, but you didn't let it go. You didn't say, "Oh, just that." No. I'm going to use that as fuel to be like, that ain't going to happen again. That ain't going to happen again. And so I remember when she passed away, unfortunately, last year, when she transitioned, things that you talked about was you talked about people calling, well, what do you need? Well, you're like, oh, I got this. I got this covered, right? I got all of that. Well, think about that. If you had not recognized the pain, and sometimes we got to sit in the pain, right? We have to sit in that a little bit. In hours, right? I got to do something because that ain't happening no more.
Right.
And so if you had not sat in the pain, right, and then combine that with what God has called you to do, it might have been a different story when mom transitioned. You may have needed help. You may have needed somebody to take up offers. You may have do a GoFundMe campaign and all those things. So I think those things go together. Recognize when we're talking about dealing with a why are you doing this? Why, where are you going and why? Right, having those values will pay. Issue, right? When I deal people with weight, think about the things that you hate about your weight. Right? The fact that when you do.
Yeah, we didn't hear nothing you saying right now, Pete. You going? We ain't hear nothing.
Test 1, 2.
Yeah.
Hello, check
Your
1, 2.
input.
All right. Think about the things that you hate.
One of the things that the big people don't talk about, right? When stuff drop on the floor and you're overweight, you got to make a decision whether you're gonna pick that up. Like, I don't know. It's a real thing. But what happens is that does not, we don't sit into that pain. Be like, wait a minute. When my grandbabies come over here, they're going to have to run, hop up on the couch, hop up on the back of the house before I give them a hug. Am I really going to settle for that? Or am I going to start walking, right? Am I going to start walking ASAP? It's really important to pay attention to that pain, and because that's going to drive you to do some things.
Well, you know, one thing I want to add to going back to that statement that we made about, Jesus' statement, rather, be careful what you hear and how you hear. One of the things that I think allowed me to sit in the pain of that time was that my father had been saying to me since I was a little fella, my one prayer from God is that I live long enough to see you be able to take care of yourself. And so in my mind, when my mother had to go through that, I was not also doing what my father had said. Right.
Wow, that's heavy. See, and I thought what he was referring to as I want to see you be able to take care of yourself because you're a little wee person. If somebody's always going to have to carry you around the room and around the house and carry you to work. So I see. I was.
That's
wrong.
what happens when you live. That's what happens when you live in hell. Move up to East Lansing so that we can. All right, let's get these last two. So number 4 on our list is let me blow that up because Pete think I don't know how to use the computer. So number 4 is figure out how to use your time and resources to reach your goal, right? You use your time and your resources to use your goal, to reach your goal. Now, it's interesting. Carol called me earlier today, and we were talking earlier today, and I said to her, she was trying to get some information. I said, okay, I'll have to get back to that later, right? And she was like, excuse me. And I was like, well, I'm focused, right? Right now, I've used my time because I've got a goal that I'm trying to get done, and I don't want to get pulled out of that goal, right? To the degree, I didn't even go exercise that and walk and do nothing because I got out of bed, got cleaned up, and then I got to work, because my goal was that. So I figured out how to use my time. So I had to rework my time, rework my usual regimen, and do that. I'm like, just today, right? So to do this, I'm even fasting. Like, I ain't wasting time getting lunch. I ain't wasting time getting breakfast. I can fast today, and that's going to give me more time to accomplish my goal. So it, again, people got to understand what it is, why they're trying to do it. But then also they got to do the next step of work of figuring out now how to use what I have to get what I want.
Come on. I mean, that almost goes without any addition. You do. You got to pay attention to that. You got to put some effort in. I like the thing that you said. Now, once you have it in your mind how you're going to use that time, what you really have to do is you kind of have to, sanctify it, call it holy. You got to separate it. Right? You have to guard that. You got to guard your time, because there are all types of time thieves. One of the things that I recognize that we will often do is, when people want something, we will respond immediately. And I think maybe, sisters with their caring and kind heart may do this a little bit more than brothers, right? Because but I recognize this over the years, even in the church environment, right? If you want somebody to do something, as sisters, always, yes, I can do it. Then they get overwhelmed to do too many things. Well, I've never had a problem ever saying, no, I'm not going to do that, right? That's not in my wheelhouse. And one of the things I recognized early, you begin to do something for someone, and what they end up doing is they end up counting on you to do that forever. And then what happens is it delays your own gift development, your own skill development in other areas. I never forget talking to a sister, and she said, my husband really didn't like mowing the lawn. We loved a good lawn. And one day I just like, I just go out there. I just do it myself. She's like, 18 years later, I was still doing it. That's your fault.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that. Here's one of those stories that you're always telling me to write down that I always forget to write down. But what that brought to mind for me is back in 88, I started Light and Life Ministries. And in 88, I did a organization or group, if you call it, called Ministers in Motion, where I know most of the pastors that I know in the city now, I know from that organization. I had over 100 brothers and sisters that came together monthly for meetings for strengthening and development and all that other kind of stuff. I had a radio program where I had partners that were partnering with me and giving money into the ministry. I was sponsoring conferences and all kinds. As a matter of fact, I had to leave one of my conferences to go to my grandmother's funeral in Alabama and fly back home that night to be at the conference. So my point being that I had a lot of stuff going on that could have set me up greatly for the time in my life right now. But because I let somebody else's get in my head, and I was taught in church, well, the church comes first, I was doing church stuff, and one of the elders in my church did not like what I was doing, so I shut it down. Now, experience has taught me that was the dumbest thing in the world to do, right? So now I've got to regroup and try and catch up to what God had given me originally, what's that, 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. One of the things I'll say about that is that what typically happens, so I've had different things happen to me, right, where I've done different businesses and shut them down for different reasons, right? But what happens in the meantime and in between time is development, right? You develop, even though you may, in the radio show from that time, the skills and all the other things that have been developed over the years, it makes you so much better.
Yeah, that may be true, but I also could have stayed there and developed those skills in that time frame. That's all I'm saying. So the point being,
maybe.
Yeah, well, okay, whatever. Maybe. So here's my point for that. One, when we're talking about this, like, you want to be responsible. Like, my mother and my family to me is my responsibility, right? So I want to be responsible. Yes. But here's what I found: self-sacrifice generally brings contempt, right? Self-sacrifice brings contempt, whereas self-development typically brings respect, right? So I'm going to develop me, which is going to be beneficial to those around me, and then I've had to learn to say no. right? So I'm not giving out money just because people say it. I learned to say no, and people have come to respect that. Whereas, you know, homegirl, like you said, mowing this lawn, you done made a self-sacrifice. Well, good. Contempt, you're going to do that, right? So you have to
Yeah.
be, again, clear on what you are, what it is that you want, what you have. Self-sacrifice, you know, as I've seen it, has brought contempt. People, you know, devalue it. They disrespect you, like all that stuff. Whereas self-development on your end, the ability to stand in your truth, whatever that is, like you just said, you're willing to see somebody outside of the church if they've got the right values. Standing in your truth is going to be respect.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me ask that. So anytime that I need to say no, how do I frame that into self-development, right? And what I mean is, let's say somebody wants to borrow money.
Yes.
Use that instance,
Yes.
right? And so you're saying that if you're sacrificing and they don't appreciate, one of the things is they don't appreciate it, or they've got this cycle of borrowing money and they never get out of it. That breeds contempt in you. How do you turn that into self-development? What do you do to?
All right. Well, let's go back to what we talked about earlier in the show today, right? Mm-hmm. Who do you have to become to achieve your goal? Right.
Yep.
So my goal is, I don't want to be the person that's always funding somebody's financial dysfunction. I don't want to be the person who's always out there mowing the lawn. I don't want to be the person who is giving my pearls before swine and they don't value them. Right. So in order to do that, first, I got to start respecting me. I got to have self-respect and value who and what I am and what's on the inside of me, and then train. You know, people don't like when I use that word, but then I train others how to treat me.
But do you have to be trained on how to treat other people, though?
Again,
you're into you,
so
but
listen,
I'm just asking.
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. So I'm saying, so I train people, because Pete asked a generic question: how does a person get to self-development? Right. Okay. Right now, I'm saying I train people to treat me.
How to?
If the pronoun I is Carol instead of Roy, then Carol trains people how to treat her.
Okay.
Right. Or if the pronoun I is Pete, then Pete trains people, whoever it is, you train people how to treat you. Now, as a person, I always have the option of saying, I don't like that, and I move on. All of that is available, right? But you have to determine for you what you are allowing people to do. People are going to do to you what you let them do.
True.
Amen.
Okay. Amen.
Amen. Come on now. All right. Is that all of the list?
No, last thing on the list. I don't even know what it is anymore because you didn't get me talking, and I'm gonna be late. Recognize that your goals may change over time. That one's easy. Yep.
Good.
Yeah, we kind of actually even already talked about that, right? Just recognize that you're not what you want today. What is available, all that stuff today, it may change, right? But what I do like is, and we'll talk on one of these sessions about writing your goals down and stuff. What I do like is I just went and pulled out a book from 2003, and I was reviewing some of the stuff that I'd been working on in 2003. Some of my goals have stayed the same, and many of them, however, have changed, but it's good to kind of see the progression and check off some things that were on my list as far back as 2005.
That's right. And one of the things we talked about this before, really simply, right? That things change over time. Yep. We talked about how I mentioned how, getting out of debt, right? Now that changes to building wealth, right? So the other one is, okay, losing weight is a goal, right? But maintaining your new weight lifelong is a completely different goal. So your goals will change over time. Time changes, goals change over time, right? That is an absolute fact. Right? One of the things is in marriage, you may say, okay, we want to have a good first year, for 1 to 3 years, and then you say long term, I want to live the rest of my life with you. I want to have a great marriage, great kids. We want to get through the teenage years with our kids and our marriage intact. So your goals can definitely change over time. I like that.
Amen. All right, well, those are your final words?
Yes.
All right, Carol, those are your final words?
Yeah, basically, transformation, prepare your weight goals. I got information on that. Life success is 20% information, 80% behavior equals the wisdom that you have to do it, right? So yeah, that was pretty good. Change will come. And there's a few other things you said. Proper application of your wisdom and your knowledge. Pete, the last thing is get my believer to believe in me. Get
That's
my
right. Well,
even when you don't believe, you got to
that's
get
right.
your believer to believe in you.
Well, one of the things that Roy has said, I think he said it, or we've heard it, like you have to get your believer up, right? You got to get your
Okay.
believer up. So for me, it was really key to have someone who believed in me before I believed in myself. That was the stimulus or the impetus for me getting my believer up.
Okay.
Right? Because and this is for certain goals, right? Certain goals, other people, you don't easily see other people who's accomplished them, right? When I'd never seen anybody that I knew that had even been on TV has gone from 416 pounds down to 216, right? They had not. It just
Look,
hadn't happened.
TV or not,
So,
I don't know nobody that lost 200 pounds other than you.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
And it hadn't
I knew
happened
somebody
because
got a cut off.
I was right.
That ain't
I was on
lost.
season,
That ain't lost it.
That's right.
No, they ain't
When
lost.
I was on season 2 of the show, right? In season 1, nobody had hit that, right? So I had to believe in her and her belief in me, and then that stimulated or facilitated belief in myself.
That prompted another question, Pete, that I'm not sure you have the answer to, but if you do, it'd be interesting. I wonder if your losing 200 pounds became Roger Banneker's 4-minute mile. If after you, people start hitting it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Almost immediately, not only almost immediately, but they began to tell me. When I saw you, because this is former, this was contestants from following seasons, right? They said, when I saw Pete's transformation, it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that was possible. And so you're absolutely right. And reading the story of Roger Bannister, those of you who don't know, there were a lot of people that were struggling to do a mile in just under 4 minutes or right at 4 minutes. And I read a story about a guy who traveled all around Europe. So this is the examples. This has to do with different competitors and all that. This guy has struggled, but in the place that he was struggling to break the 4-minute mile, there were not any great racers around him, right? So he literally leaves where he's at, goes to Europe, because in Europe, there are a lot of great racers. And as soon as he lands in Europe, Roger Bannister, within a week, breaks the 4-minute mile. He breaks it the next week. And in a year, there are 20-something people that had broken that barrier. So you're exactly right. When you see someone else, it's always easier when you see somebody else. When other people saw me, they began to now here's the key. The next thing, because it was much harder to do this, the next thing was I had to keep the weight off, because that's what I did not see either, right? I'm fat because, again, I was early into this process. And other people, it's so interesting when we talk about what's in the mind. Other people, they didn't look to those who have been successful at keeping it off, because we talked about, your goals change over time. Your goals should immediately, once I hit that weight, my goal immediately changed. And my confessions, everything changed. I'm going to keep the weight off when the cameras are off. I had a 7-year goal, because 95% of people who lose weight gain it back within 5 years. So I had a 7-year goal to keep the weight off for 7 years. A 15-year goal, right? 15-year goal that came from Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford, when he went back to film the 3rd installation of Raiders of the Lost Ark, he could fit his same hat, his same pants, his same shirt. So that was my Harrison Ford goal. I began to set those goals for long-term success. So that's how we know these goals change over time. Now, people who saw me lose the weight, they set the goal, I want to be like Pete. They've said that. They personally told me that. But they did not set Pete's lifelong goals, and that has been turned into being a struggle.
But again, I think that's the power of the testimony, right? Because most people,
absolutely right.
Because again, they got to see, if I can just get to the first step. So once I get to the 200 down, now I need the rest of Pete's testimony, or the next step.
So that's right. So then you ask the question, well, was that a real transformation, or did you just lose some weight? For me, did your mind really get transformed, or did you just get out of debt that first time at Y2K? That's the real difference in transformation versus, okay, you just got a short-term.
Well, we know you transformed, because you always bothered me about eating, so don't bother me no more. All right. Wow. All hearts and minds clear.
You're
all my clear. Thank you so much for explaining that.
All right, this is your brother Roy, speaking for Pete and Carol, reminding you of this: no matter what circumstance or situation you face, when you face it with the Lord Jesus Christ, say it, Pete. There is hope. God bless your bones.
What?